So you're playing Midge's husband.
Right.
And I've described you as having some kind of executive job in a fancy high-rise building, but you've always dreamed of being a stand-up comic. You seem happily married to Midge, with a beautiful West Side apartment, 2 children, an adoring wife. And then one night, things don't go well for you, for Joel, on stage during an act, and you suddenly announce that night you're leaving Midge for your secretary, Penny. And that sets up a lot of the action that then follows.
Mm-hmm.
So you played Bugsy Siegel in Boardwalk Empire. You were in Rescue Me.
Mm-hmm.
You also played Liam off Broadway
Yeah.
in Bad Jews. But wait, let's start there. What was that like? And the reason I ask is the following.
Did you see Bad Jews?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I don't want to comment on it.
Oh, you didn't like it?
No.
Oh, really?
Okay. But let me just say this to you, and you should know this as a context. I've never done a TV series, but I've been fortunate enough to be in Broadway productions a lot.
Okay.
So I produce Broadway all the time, and I'm around actors all the time. I have enormous regard. But I understand how it works, okay? And so when I say to you, what was it like? I'm not asking, like somebody in the audience, what was it like to play whatever role, Bugsy Siegel or whatever,
Yeah.
or a Joel. What I'm really asking was, what was the preparation for Bad Jews like for you? You're a Jewish kid. We'll find out more about that in a moment. Now you're in Bad Jews. How did you feel about the production, and what was that like for you?
Well, when I read the play, when I read the script for Bad Jews,
Yes.
I just knew that guy. I knew Liam. That I wouldn't say he's me per se, but I identified with a lot of the things he was saying.
Give me one example.
Well, it's just about how, I guess the character of Daphne, his cousin, who he's constantly at odds with, was kind of my mom. It kind of was. She's a little more religious than I am, and constantly trying to instill these Jewish beliefs and values in me, which I understand. We come from a family of my grandparents were Holocaust survivors,
Yes.
so it's important to pass down these traditions. But at the same time, it's like you want to be able to live your own life. I don't want to have to go to synagogue every week, or and kind of, when I was a kid, that kind of, I didn't really have a choice.
Yes. Where'd you grow up?
In New Jersey.
Where?
Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Ridgewood, New Jersey. What kind of Jewish home did you have?
We had we were conservative. I went to Hebrew school every week.
Did you hate it?
I wouldn't say I liked it.
I haven't met anybody yet who likes it.
I don't know if anybody wants to go to double the school.
Right.
It was twice a week. It was, I think, Tuesday after school.
Tuesday
and
Thursday, whatever it was.
Yeah, no, well,
And
Sunday. It was
Sunday.
Sunday. Like, who wants to go to school on Sunday? And so, yeah, it wasn't my favorite thing in the world.
Okay.
But I did want to have a bar mitzvah, so it was important to learn.
What was that like, by the way?
My bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
It's funny because kind of comparing my personal experiences with Joel.
Yes.
I had a panic attack at my bar mitzvah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, and yet I was always the kid who was the actor, especially in my family, and everybody knew I liked to act. Everybody in the town knew I liked to act, and then to get on the bima and literally it was like I was Joel in that scene where he bombs.
That's amazing.
I was having a panic attack. Everything started spinning. I couldn't talk. And I don't know what came over me. But yeah, so it wasn't the greatest experience of my life. In fact, I had a Hebrew school teacher who saw me last Rosh Hashanah, and she came up to me, and she's much older, and she came up to me and she was like, I remember when you had your bar mitzvah and you started crying, and I was like, great, thanks for bringing that up. But yeah.
So when you think of it, it's not warm memories for you.
Well, I mean, Not necessarily,
Okay.
but it was warm in that, everybody was there, all my friends and family, and it turned out okay. It was just, there was a period of time where I had to leave and go to the bathroom and cry and cry and cry, and then I came back up and I finished, and it was okay.
Okay, Michael, in retrospect, as you look back, what do you think was going on?
Um,
Because you
I
were
think-
you were on stage as a
I
kid
know.
your whole life.
I know,
right?
but there's a difference between playing a character and being yourself.
Absolutely right.
And I don't think I'm ever totally comfortable with being myself, and especially in front of a large audience. I'm not necessarily the best at giving speeches. I also, I remember at my brother's wedding, I gave a speech and I was holding paper and shaking, and then people were like, "You were nervous. Why are you nervous? You're not supposed to be nervous." But that's just me, and that's why I think that's why I'm drawn to acting, because I get to be somebody else, and it's very freeing. Yeah.
That is so honest and so real. Do you think you drew on the bar mitzvah experience when you did the scene where you bomb? You get lost on stage, and there's a question, in essence, Midge has fed you some idea, it doesn't work, and you're bombing
Yeah.
as the character. And you do that superbly, brother. You are superb. Everything I've
thanks.
seen you in.
Thank you.
You are superb. Do you think you drew on the bar mitzvah experience? Do you remember if you did for that moment?
100%. And not, it wasn't on purpose either. I remember, I thought it was going to be cake. I thought I was, just kind of go up there and suck, And I was doing it, and Amy Sherman-Palladino, the director and writer, she came up to me afterwards, and after the first couple of takes, and she told me that I'm pushing too much. And you never want to hear that, because that sounds like you're acting. You don't want to act.
Exactly.
You want to be real and genuine and honest. And so that really kind of got into my head, and I was starting to get nervous. It's the first episode, and I want to be good. I want to show her that I'm good, that she made the right decision, and so I get back up there, and this is all going on in my head, and literally, I mean, I was back in my 13-year-old body, and once again, everything started spinning, and I could barely talk, and it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah.
You were superb.
Thanks.
Talk to me for 1 minute about your grandparents, because your grandmother comes from Hungary,
She's from the Ukraine.
from the Ukraine. Holocaust survivors, both of your grandparents?
Not both sets, but my mom's parents were.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you look at do you mind my asking how old you are now?
I'm 38.
Okay. You've lived long enough to have a sense of who your parents are, as opposed to somebody who's 20 or even 25.
Yeah.
We don't know our parents yet. Do you think the fact that your mother is the daughter of survivors affected your mother?
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
Okay, and you're second generation now, a third generation. Did it affect you?
Yeah.
How?
Well, because you're brought up to kind of, recognize the warning signals, and especially right now, it's a tough time, and things that you never thought would ever happen again are, which is scary. I hope that we've learned enough that this time around, we're going to fight back if need be. Hopefully we don't, But I think that's what it is. I think it's learning about how these things can progress and can happen, and making sure that they never happen again. But yeah, I do think it affected my mother, especially because growing up, we learn about the traditions, and that's why I was sent to Hebrew
Did your
school.
grandparents? Did you know your grandparents?
Yeah.
Did your grandmother talk about this? Did your grandfather talk
Yeah,
about this?
I grew up, hearing all the stories. My grandmother was lucky in that she and her immediate family were able to escape. They got out before the Nazis came through. And my grandfather, on the other hand, he got out, and he was only like 16 years old. Somehow his father got him out of the town that they were in Poland. Just him, though. He paid somebody off and got him out, but the rest of them, were sent to the camps. And so it was important to know these things. And he never really talked about it much. I wish he's passed. When I was in high school, he passed away. But my grandmother's still alive, and I still talk to her about it. And I think it was important for my mother to pass on these stories, and for them to pass on these stories, just to know that these things could happen again, and to make sure that they don't.
Mm-hmm. You're a lovely guy.
Thanks.
I've enjoyed meeting you.
Oh, thank you.
At some point, maybe we will have longer time to talk. But I wish you all the best.
Oh, thanks.
You are a real actor.
Oh, thank you.
And it's an honor to meet you. I wish
Yes,
you
absolutely.
all the best as you go forward
Oh, thanks.
with the wonderful, marvelous, fabulous Mrs.
Maisel.
Maisel.
Yes.
And we'll meet sometime.
All
Thank
right.
you very
Thank
much,
you.
Michael.
Thanks.